Hey guys. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome back to our Sunday chat. Chat.
Marathon.
It's literally been like how much? It's been like 2 months now because if
Yeah.
our right? When did we
It's
start?
been 5 weeks.
5?
Yeah, it feels like 10 years, but
Yeah.
it's been
Wow.
fun. Yeah,
Has it
since
been?
our first day.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
because it was like the second last week of May, I think, that we started.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like the first week of July now. But it's like God's just been doing crazy, crazy things within this time. And today's episode, this show, we're going to really talk about God's miracles in our lives. And we want to share with you how he kind of works, okay? He works differently with each and every single one of us. He talks to us differently. He shows us things differently, but he is one spirit and he unites us all. And so for you watching, we want to share with you like the crazy things that he does when we trust in him and when we let him lead our lives.
Mm-hmm.
um, it's not in our own control, but he just knows everything, right? But he wants to know that we trust him and that we want to hear from him and that we will obey, and then what happens when we obey. um,
Yeah.
so yeah, for this time it's like we want to like inspire you through him and through his miracles. Like um if you just ask, you will receive, or like even when you're not expecting it, he's just a God of miracles. So
Mhm.
we're gonna start. I'll start because I guess it'll give you guys time to think about. I didn't tell them the topic before, like just now. So um just little things like, I'll start from the one very beginning thing that I remember was I'll tell you, like I didn't know where to live. So it's been many, many years that like me and Daphne have been wanting to move to the Philippines. Daphne now lives there for 5 years. But for me, I was like, this was maybe, I guess, 6 or 7 years ago. And I was like, I, I, I could hear from him and like I wanted to give my whole life to him. And God was just saying, like, it's not time yet. It's not time yet for me to move to the Philippines. And Daphne was still here in Toronto. And I was moving to Toronto for the very first time. And I was looking at um, condos with one of my friends, and she's like a super planner. So she had like dates and all these appointments for these beautiful condos, like to move into. And we were going to look around, and every single time I could feel um, like, no, not yet. It's not time yet. Like, not here, not here, not here. And I was like, okay, God, like, where? Like, where do I live? Where do I? And then this one time, there was this volunteer that was working with me at the hospital, and she just comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, are you looking for a place to live?" And I'm like, because she knew I was commuting from where I live, and it was like an hour away. And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, like my landlord is renting out a room." And I was like, "Oh, cool." She's like, "You can come today after work." She's like, "I'll pick you." And I was like, "Okay." She's like, "Don't have big expectations though, okay?" And she's like, "It's $300 a month. This is in downtown Toronto." And I'm like, "three
You're
hundred
like,
dollars a
"Ooh,
month? Like that's impossible. You can't
thank
even rent
you."
out a bathroom for that, right?" And I was
Mhm.
like, "Okay." So then we go. She had her bike. I remember that, and I was like walking alongside her, and it was only like maybe 10 minutes away from our hospital. And then I go to the house, and it's literally my favorite color. Like it was like, this is like my favorite color. My friends all know, they give me, it's like this color. Like who paints their house this color, right?
Yeah,
It was the
but
only house that was
your
painted that.
bride's dresses are gonna be blush pink, right?
I know. Daphne, you do know me, but she thought this would be my color. So basically, the house was painted this color, and I'm like, all the houses are like white, brown, gray, or whatever, and then there's one house like this, right? And I was like, oh God. that's a pretty clear sign, right? But then I
Yeah.
go in, and I swear, like, you could see the cockroaches' houses in the corners. Like, you can see, like,
Cockroaches
dust
had time to
bunnies
build a
and,
house.
like, huh?
The cockroaches had time to build a house.
I don't know, just in the house, there's just, like, nets of, like, stuff, and, like,
Mhm.
I could see rat poop and, like, everything. Like, when you walk in, it wasn't, like, cleaned at all, and I could tell there was, like, cockroaches, there was mice and everything. I could see it, but I was like, "This is it," right?
Mhm.
Like, "This is the place." And I was like, I don't know why, because I would never, ever pick that kind of place, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I moved in, and it was in that place where God, like, truly, like, humbled me, right? And my friends, like, slept over and stuff, even though they were, like, super, like, disgusted and stuff. Like, he was doing something in my heart in that time, right? Is like, and then when I got to the Philippines, there was flying cockroaches like this, but I was just like, ew, ew, but like, it's okay. Like, I'll just brush it off, like, like, I'm still kind of like a little scared, but it was
Mhm.
like, he's kind of like preparing, like, how we are to live. Like, it doesn't need to be super duper, like, shiny diamonds and gold or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
just like, he does these kind of things to, like, prepare our hearts and to prepare our uh like, minds. And he was, like, teaching me so much in that time. That's the time where I sold my car, I sold everything that I had to, like, get rid of all my stuff. Like, nothing mattered, like, that was a time where he was, like, stripping away all the things that I used to kind of care about, or what the world kind of cared about. And but then after that, just place after place after place just got better and better and better.
And then you got
Still,
a
like,
free
yeah, free car, free condo, like, not free, but, like,
promotion.
what, God bless. So it was taking that first step of, like, stripping ourselves away from, like, the world.
Yeah.
Uh, that was just, like, one step. Okay.
Yeah.
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 Doreen, what about you? What was, like, a cool thing that he taught you or shown you, like, led you?
Yeah. Oh, there's so many, but as you were speaking, I was just thinking about how I think ever since my journey has started, I feel like I've been in this sort of preparation period that you went through, right? Like, going on these, I guess, little tests or excursions of hearing his voice and at like even sharpening his voice, because it starts off with that, like, okay, like you get that feeling, like that gut feeling almost, right, to do something, but then you're not really sure in the beginning, right? But then, like, he gives you that feeling time and time again, and then you start to learn, oh, that's his voice,
That's
that's
him.
him
Yeah.
that's prompting me, right?
Yeah.
And so now I'm like I'm still in this preparation season, right, in this season of, like, having his voice being sharpened, right, and being like the loudest in my head. And um so I'm actually just going to share the one from last night, because it's just kind of
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
um and it kind of ties in with, I don't know what Daph's going to share, but it kind of ties in. But
Mm.
basically, last night I was listening to a few worship songs, and one worship song came on that I normally always press skip. Right, it's just not one of those songs that I usually listen to. It's not the one that, like, gets me in the zone. So every time it comes up on my playlist, I just press next. Right, we all have that song sometimes where we just press next.
Yeah.
And so this was the first time in probably like literally 2 years, because the first time I heard the song was 2 years ago, and then and it's been on my playlist ever since. But this is the first time in a while where I just let it play in the background, and the lyrics just started standing out to me, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is perfect for this time, this season, right? We need to sing this song at church. right? And Daphne's the one that's been leading worship for the past few weeks. And so I really felt this strong feeling to send her a message saying, hey, can you sing this song tomorrow? Can you prep this song? But then I also had an exhausting night. So then I kind of just left it alone, right? And I went to bed. But then I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw Daphne's text message to our group chat, and she sent a whole bunch of songs. The very first song was the song that I wanted to, that I knew I had to like share with her. and it was
like out of a billion songs in the world, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so I was like,
normal. It's like kind of like an old song. Like it's pretty old.
Yeah, it's not even you that you would like, hey, I heard this new song, can you play it? It's like you'd have to dig into Hillsong's archive. It's like from Darlene Sheck time, you know? We love her. And it's like, imagine the same song he spoke to you. So my husband helps me choose his songs, and he was the one choosing like the praise. And I was like, how about this? He's like, no. And then he's like, I'll look. He like looked. And that's the song he picked. Thing is, we don't even know how to play it on guitar. I don't know how to sing it. And so we took like an hour just getting the key. And then the Shireen, the bridge, I butchered it like so many times. Like going into the bridge, I'm like, how does it go? God is fighting. You know, it's a song like, God is fighting for us. God is on our side. That one. And then so it's definitely God, because it's not something that we would just usually say this one, because it takes us time to learn songs, and we have 2 kids. I just want to like, sometimes as a worship leader, you're just like, how about a song we know? But God was like, this is a song, go and learn it. Like we actually had to take time and learn it, and that's because he really, I believe, wants to speak that message to people. That he is fighting for us. He's on our side. So even when it looks like your atmosphere is not changing, even if you don't see the victory at the moment, you're already victorious, because God is fighting something in the spiritual realm, and you're already a victor if God is on your side. He's fighting for you. So all you got to do is praise him and like thank him and just go with his flow of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just crazy, you know, God has like a certain thing that he wants to communicate, whether it's to like you individually or another person or a group of people or like the world, right? He has a specific message, and he's going to get that across, right? And sometimes he chooses to use us, right, to participate in that, to participate in his plan, but also to take these steps of obedience and to really like for us to step out in faith, right? For us to grow in our own spiritual walks. And it's really, really cool to experience that, right? And that's just one thing that's just one example. And this was just last night, but there have been so many times where he'll put specific people on my heart, right? Or, and a lot of the times I actually don't know what my friends or family, like what they're going through, right? But God will give me the words to share, right? And it'll, and I'll just have to trust. It's not easy, especially in the beginning when I didn't really know his voice or I don't really know what they're going through. That's when it's difficult, because it's as if I just have insight into someone else's life, and I just have to now say that to them. Yeah. Right. But like, always the other person will respond like, that's exactly what I'm going through, or like, that's exactly what I needed to hear, right? And so God's really cool. There's another thing that I'll share. There was one time, it's actually has happened. Oh wait, do I have time? Actually,
I mean, like,
no,
we're gonna go like this, like, and then Daphne and go around one more time.
Oh, we're gonna go one more time. Okay. Okay, so thanks. I'm excited to hear what you have to share next, girl. I wanted to hear it. I'm like, come on. Okay, so we'll have to wait, guys. Wait for the second round. All right. So the first, for me, the first thing that came up to my mind was my dad, and my dad was diagnosed with cancer way back. I forget how many years, because we didn't really focus on it. And that's how my dad raised us, because he focused on God through his journey. And it's kind of crazy, like my whole family, one of the major battles we face as a family is sickness, like psoriasis, Down syndrome, cancer, like all of this stuff, you know. And God has been really speaking to my dad, me, my sister, my brother about healing. Like, does healing still exist? Does
Yeah.
God still heal? And I can tell you, like, until today, we're believing for my sister Diane's healing, but we love her so much, you know, like
Yeah.
whatever God does, like Nick Vujicic says, he still believes for legs, so he has a pair of shoes in his closet. But him not having legs is not going to stop him from preaching the word and praying for people about healing, because it's not, if people don't get healed, it's not God's fault. We have to work on our faith, and we have to keep believing. So I'm really encouraged by Nick Vujicic's ministry. And he literally saw people, like, God told him to buy a pair of shoes. He bought a pair of shoes for this guy, and the legs grew out in front of his eyes. But he still had no legs. So what, like, it's just like, the main thing is God is still a healer. And like the song says, like, if we cannot see it, he's still fighting for us. He can still do a miracle. It could happen in a second, any minute. He is a miracle worker. And we love him for that. We repent because he is that. So basically, like, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. It rocked our worlds. It brought me to tears. It made my mom cry. My brother was like, should I get the test? Like, you know, like, it literally woke us up from like slumber, because we're like, my dad was waiting until he, you know, a lot of older people in like the Asian community, Filipino community, they work their whole lives. And then they wait for their day that they retire to like go visit the Philippines or like start their missions. And like, that's how the mentality was. But around my dad, so many people, they waited until when they retired from their work, they got cancer, they died. So my dad that just really challenges, like, how do you live your life? You live it for
Yeah.
Jesus now. You don't wait until tomorrow. Like,
Tomorrow. Yeah.
when the government gives me $1,000, like, any chance, like, even us talking about Jesus one day, maybe we won't have a voice because we're 99 years old, and we're like, we like our
Exactly.
grandchildren doing it. So right
Yeah.
now at our youth, this is the time to like pour it out, like live like it's your last day. Every strength that you have, like, I pray that when you're 90, you look back and you say, Lord, I gave you everything. Like, I'm so happy I talked about you. So my dad, that woke us up when he got cancer, and we cried. But then I remember waking up in the morning, and I would go down, and my dad would be blasting worship music, and he'd be reading healing verses. So he would just like speak that over his life, like, I am healed by the blood of Jesus, like, I am healed. And he was stage 3 cancer, guys, stage 3. So the doctors were like, you're gonna die, like, you're most likely gonna die like that. But let me tell you something, my dad is still alive. It's
Yeah.
been so many years. He got a stroke, guys. Half of his body was not supposed to move. The doctor said, we went to the hospital. That year was a battle for my dad. At the same time, cancer plus stroke. Like, imagine, you're supposed to
Yeah.
be good with what the doctors said. But my dad got movement again in his body. He started shoveling the snow again, and he went to my wedding. He walked me down the aisle with my grandpa, and it's just so cool.
Yeah,
That's
like God is filled with miracles. And during those times, I remember your dad, he just went on his knees, like straight to God. He was praying like just day and night. He didn't give up. Like, he didn't lose faith at all. Like, he actually became that much more stronger in faith, right? And literally, God obviously pulled through. Like, he's filled with miracles, gave him that much more strength, more joy. And your dad's just like on fire, like,
He's still on
so
fire, like, still preaching.
yeah.
Yes, our parents are not perfect. There is no perfect parent, but God, like, God is perfect. We all go to God, and like, I think it's inspiring to see my dad go to God in his weakness. Like, and me now being a parent, I'm like, thank God,
Yeah.
God is a perfect God, because
You
like,
need
I
him.
made mistakes, like, but we can go to God. So when we talk
Mhm.
about the amazing things God did, like
Mhm.
whether it's cancer, like even my sister, she wasn't supposed to read or write or talk. That's what the doctor said. But she reads, writes, and talks. That's her favorite thing to do.
Thing. She reads faster than me. She writes neater and faster than me. Like she corrects my spelling mistakes, like literally. So it's
So
she's
if that's you, you found out you have cancer, like you have sickness in your body, I I really push, like I tell, like I pray that you would go to God's word, read his word every day. Even if you cannot see it in your life, like not yet, it's already done. Like speak his words of victory, speak his words of healing, worship songs, the songs that you choose in your ear, like put in worship music, and you will see something shift in your spirit. And sometimes when the devil attacks your flesh, you feel like you don't want to seek
hmm
the Lord. But I
yeah.
saw God's victory in my dad's life. That even when he had a stroke and he had cancer, the closer he went to Jesus, the more he knelt, the more he, when he in his weakest time, like that is when the closer he got to Jesus, you know.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
even if you are going through this time, it's not the time to shut our hearts.
To
This is a
open
time
it
to say,
more.
God, I need you.
Yeah.
I need you. Show
Yeah.
me.
That's so good.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Round one.
And then just yeah, just one more because
Okay.
there's like so many, right? Like this was
Mhm.
just one little like segment I wanted to do because I feel like people don't know how God really works or how his miracles work. And even for us, life goes on, right? Like day after day after day. We kind of don't always look back on like all the miracles he actually has done in our lives or like the step by
Yeah.
step he's taking to transform us and like build us and remind us of his greatness and goodness because like time goes on, like pandemics hit and stuff like that. But it's for us to
Yeah.
reflect back and see like he's constantly moving. Even for you guys, like yes, just yesterday, you didn't know what I was gonna talk about,
Yeah.
just like
Right.
every day he's filled with miracles and goodness and one spirit, right? Bringing
Yeah.
people together with one spirit from all across the world. Daphne's
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
Philippines, at Shireen's and can't he can touch the hearts like that,
Yeah.
And so for us to let whoever's watching, like he wants to do this for your heart. He wants to show and fill your life with miracles. It's so
Yeah.
exciting. It's so freeing. It's crazy.
Mhm. Mhm.
But one thing, like another thing that God always does for me when I was not in school, I could hear him so much more clearer. Like, okay, call this person, message this person, go to this person's house, surprise them, do this, do that. And I'd be like, I'm free. Of course, I'd love to. I love going everywhere. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll go, I'll go. And at that moment, like, I was just thinking about you, or I was just gonna call you, or
Mhm.
like, it's like
Mhm.
people I haven't talked to in years.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
can tell like when I was busy with school and like just busy with like work and life and stuff, it's harder to hear. It truly
Mhm.
is because you have all these different like thoughts and worries in your mind, like mumble
Mhm.
jumble. Like there's no stillness and quietness in him. And like sometimes like you do hear him, like you said, Shireen, you heard him yesterday to tell Daphne to do the song, but you fell asleep. I'm tired. But
Yeah.
then Daphne's like, these are my songs, right? But imagine if you listened yesterday and
Yeah.
was not tired, it would have blown all your minds last night, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But like
Mhm.
for me, it's like I still kind of hear it. It's like, okay, call this person, the message this person, but I'm like, I'm literally exhausted, like I
Mhm.
have all these deadlines to meet and all these things. So I understand when people are like, I can't hear him, or like, I don't want to listen, or I don't want to obey, kind of thing, even if they do. But for
Mhm.
me, it's like I know the good, great works that
Mhm.
he will do when we continuously listen and obey. And for me, it literally, I'm telling you guys the truth. Like it drains me because I'm an introvert. I know you guys don't believe it, but I am. So it's
Mhm.
like it actually drains me to like if I can talk to one friend forever, like I would love it forever for the rest of it. But God's like, no, this person, this person, this person, this person, this. I'm like, oh wow, the world needs help, and that's why this was born, right? Like we're doing this to help
Mm-hmm.
whoever can watch. So, but just um, same thing like that, where he tells you like to message this person, call this person, talk to them. We don't know what they're going through, but God knows what they're going through. He can speak to
Mm-hmm.
them, and maybe at that moment they're like, okay, God, if you're real, this person will call me or this person will message me. You know, we don't know the conversations that they're having with God. So for me, this was like a crazy thing. I was like, I'm always conversing with God, like, okay, you need to show me where to go, like what to do, who to talk
Mm-hmm.
to, you know? So I was deciding on like which school to go to. And it was like a battle in my mind because like all the good things are on this side, but then this school is like, I have nothing connected with this school and I know nothing about this school. So I was like, God, but God was pointing me to this school. And I was like, why? So anyways, I did like, I contacted admissions and they're like, oh, you can come for a free class or whatever, come sit in a class. So basically I was like, God, you need to show me like if this is the school I need to go to or whatever. So that school, the class was 3 hours long. And then it ended at 9 p.m. That's really late, right? There's no one on campus except for like our class. And I was like, I needed to go poo, right? Like after class, right? I needed to go poo. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't, these could be my next classmates. Like I don't want them to walk in me too, on me poo. So I asked like the professor, I was like, oh, where's like the closest washrooms or whatever? So there's one right down here near the classroom, and there's one down in the basement. I was like, oh, perfect. Like definitely going there because no one should be in the basement, you know? So I'm there on my phone, like taking my time, you know, going through and like it's syncing up the washroom. There's only 2 stalls. It's a tiny stall, right? I hear the door. It's 9 p.m., okay? And I'm like, I hear the door open and I'm like, you know, when your poo's like about to come out and it like comes back, and I'm like, oh my God, you know? And then so I was like, oh no, like who's coming in? And then I hear another person. I'm like, there's only 2 stalls. Like if I keep sitting in there, like they have to keep coming in and out of that one other stall. So basically I was like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna just go because this is awkward, right? So basically I can see that I can hear and see their feet that someone went into like a stall beside me. And then I come out and the person standing right there was an old youth pastor from when I was a child, a girl, like a woman pastor, okay? And I was like, what are you doing here at this school, first of all, in the basement at 9 p.m. in the washroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you doing here, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
I was like startled because now I just stunk up the bathroom and I was just like, okay. And then so she's like, you want to hear something crazy? And I was like, what? And she's like, she actually let the person go in front of her into the other stall. She's like, I just felt like I needed to let the other person go in front of me. Because if she went into the other stall, I wouldn't have seen her, right? Because she's now in the stall, I would have come out. And I was like, this is insane. Because I literally just asked, like, okay, God, if you know, he's already shown me so many things that I was supposed to go to this school, but this was just like the last like thing, you know? Like that is not normal, right? Like
Yeah.
where did she even come from? I haven't seen her in 15 years of my life. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And so basically, like, he can just place people in front of you. And I have so many other instances where, like, I would pray for someone and I would bump into them on the street in a restaurant literally like the next day. And I
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen them for literally like 5, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I would just be praying for them, like God would, you know, and like he could just place people in your paths like that. So it's like he wants us to have our eyes and our hearts open to like receiving his word. Like, okay, if you want to go here, like go here. Like we don't know why. Why did I go to that bathroom down there? I don't why am I even there at that school? I don't know, like that day, you know? So it's just like following his voice. It takes time though, right? Like it doesn't come in an instant, but it's like, okay, I feel like I gotta go this way. But why? We don't know. But God is saying, because I'm going to place someone right there in your path,
Mhm.
there to answer your prayer, or for you to meet and for you to reconcile or forgive and talk and live life together, um,
Yeah.
just things like that. He can do it for us, he can do it for you watching. So it's just like, just trusting and listening and obeying. Like, life is just so exciting that way,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's just another example.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Oh,
what are you sharing?
there's so many that are popping to my head right now. Do you know, I just remember the red bean fish dessert thing.
Just simple, like, what?
Yeah. So like honestly, like God just knows what we want, like our desires, right? And like there are times where you can literally just sound like, oh, like or you might not even tell him directly, but you just think it. It's like, I want this right now. I'm craving this right now. So there was one time I was like, I just had a day off and I was in Toronto, literally wandering downtown Toronto. And I didn't have an agenda. Like, I just wanted, it was like like, it's like I was taking myself out on a date, honestly. Like, it was just such a chill day. And so I go to some like Turkish cafe in the morning. Janice messages me that day. And then I literally tell her, oh, hey, guess who's in Toronto? Or something. And then she tells me to go visit her. So I still had like a few hours to myself before it was time to visit her. And there was one thing that I wanted to do before visiting her, and it was go to a store to buy some pens, right? And I knew how to get to the store if I was in some underground mall, and I had to like go outside to actually get to the mall. But I was like, let me just explore this mall, right? So I'm like walking. I pass by an Asian like bakery, and as I'm walking through, I'm thinking, oh, I want that stuffed waffle thing with red bean in it, right? I didn't know what it was called, but I just knew specifically that's what I wanted. And so I'm walking around this Asian bakery and it's not there. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, maybe should I get something else or should I just forget about it? But I forgot about it because I was craving it so much. I didn't want anything else. I didn't want to compromise. I literally wanted it specifically. So I said, okay, next time. And so I'm still walking through this mall and then I see this random escalators. It's just like in the center. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll just go up here.
I don't
Let's see
even
where
know
it goes.
where it leads to. When I
Yeah,
yeah.
I literally have no idea where it's going, and I have all the time in the world to kill, so I'm just wandering. And so I'm going up this escalator. It literally like brings me to the store that I needed to, the specific store, and I'm like, okay, I'm here.
Right.
Perfect. And so, it literally just felt like God was leading me exactly where I needed to go. And so I grabbed my pens and then I took a subway to go see Janice. Janice finishes her class and she keeps asking me, oh, what do you want to go eat? Where do you want to go eat? I'm like, I already ate. So wherever you, like, I don't know, what do you want to eat? And so she takes me to this Korean grocery store that I've never been to. And we're just wandering around. And then I don't even know who noticed it. Do you remember?
I think it was me because I was like, you have to try this because it's like custard. Like, the custard ones are really good, but they don't sell it at that one. I was just telling you about it.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you were telling me that. I'm like, like I like clued in. Like they actually sell the red bean one,
They
and I said
only sell the
they
red bean.
only, yeah,
And I don't like red bean. I don't like that. So I didn't mention it to you. But then
yeah.
you're like, like, you were just like, I'll, I got to try one. Like, and I was like, what? You like red bean? You're like, and then you were like,
Yeah, I was like, I was literally craving this all day. And so
yeah,
I started to get so excited, and you're like, shut up.
yeah. And it's the shape of a fish.
Yeah.
It's like other things, like a bun or like a whatever. But this Korean one is an exact fish, like always a fish. And she's like, why is it a fish? Like, like the Koreans just make it that way. But, we're fishers men.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just crazy things like that he can just
Yeah.
make happen like that.
Yeah. He knows the desires. He knows what we want, right? He
He-
knows exactly what we want.
and it's just so fun and exciting. And
Mhm.
like, it's life is so much better when we
Mm.
listen and obey, and he just like pops things up like this. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. What
Amazing.
a, and then the last staff.
All right, I might get disconnected. It's doing that thing where it connects. But yeah, for me right now, I had something, then literally God changed it last minute. Okay, so basically, we've been doing missions here in the Philippines, like on the streets. I met this lady on the floor, like sitting on a stone rock staircase,
Mhm.
and it was dirty. They're very poor, and we started doing Bible studies in their community as much as we can. And so we've been preaching in their community for like 2 years. And then one of what happened was there was a huge fire that burnt down all of the houses that was in that area. And this fire was on the news, so you can find it on ABS-CBN, like Commonwealth junk shop fires, and you can Google it. You'll see it's like a huge fire. It took firefighters like 5 hours just to try and bring out the fire.
Yeah.
One amazing thing God did was the lady gave her heart to Jesus. We just shared Jesus's love with her. She opened up her house and we started doing Bible studies at her house.
Yeah.
And we would always pray protection over them and all of this. And the house where we did the Bible study, that was the only house that did not burn down. And then we continued to minister to them. So at this time, they're thinking, oh, like we've been seeking God, but there's a fire. Like, why? And like Raph would literally go and preach and he would cry because he saw like how poor they were. They don't even have like food. They don't even have water. They don't have basic necessities that we have.
Mhm.
And how do you preach to that? How do you encourage
Mhm.
them? So Raf grew up from being poor, and he's like, the only thing we can do right now is look to Jesus, look to Jesus. And
Mhm.
even before the fire, my dad and my mom came and did missions there, and they basically prayed over this community and said like, um, God said, my dad said, I pray that you all have a house, like all the ladies in the Bible study. And at the moment when my dad is saying that, it's like, that's impossible because
Yeah.
they don't even have money for food. So
Yeah.
my dad was praying that over this community, a heart for the poor, right? And they were all like, amen. Like they really love Jesus. Like they have this little room. The bathroom, it's not even something you would want to use kind of thing because it's dirty, but that's all they have. And they all squished in this place to have Bible study. No
Mhm.
AC, no nothing. Like we're sweating. It's, but they were coming for the word of God. So these
Mhm.
people were seeking God, and then there's a fire. So what now? So we kept believing with them. God is doing something. He's fighting for us through even the fires of life, through when you lose everything. And
Mhm.
the miracle was that um, the government gave them houses. The ladies in our cell group, like only
Oh no. Ba- I think I can finish it until she comes back. Basically, the government provided the houses only like it was just the ladies that were at the Bible study. Okay, go. I was just
okay,
saying like it was just for the ladies
yeah,
that came to the Bible study.
Mhm.
yeah, and more. But like now we go to that community, and we're still preaching the word. And I see the growth that God is doing, how faithful
Mhm.
God is when you do not give up on a soul. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
He loves you so much, but imagine when we give that love out. And
Yeah.
that woman is now the leader, the barangay leader of
Yeah.
that
That's
Mhm.
little area.
crazy.
She came from like nothing, and now we taught her a job. So we get donations from Hillsong Church, and I spoke with my ate says she's like anything that they don't need we can sell, and I taught her how to like get a job, like
Mhm.
online selling on Shopee, and she got like inspired. So God is just so faithful. God is so
Mhm.
good. Even when we see fires, don't give up on God. keep
Mhm.
praying because he has a plan that's better than we think. And imagine they have a house like a compared to where they came from. It's like it's not like in the standards of Canada, but like there to them it's a blessing, you know, like
Mhm.
a roof over their head. And this lady adopted like uh Kuya, a little brother and two girls, four children that the mom couldn't afford to keep. So the mom is working, so she's helping them and just
Mhm.
opened up her house for the gospel
Mhm.
for orphans. Like this is it. This is amazing. This is God's heart. And I know he's still doing something even greater than this as
Yeah.
because we never know the fruit of us preaching to people,
Yeah.
sharing the word. You might think, oh, is it really touching their lives?
Mhm.
But you know what? We just have to be faithful and God will show the
Yeah.
rest. Yeah,
I
he's
I
good.
have I have one thing for Daphne. I just thought of something that God, like, it blew my mind. Okay. I gotta tell them. We went on, I don't know, this is the Philippines right here. So we went on a mission trip to Davao. Basically, Daphne was going to Bible school in Kingston, and there was a Filipino pastor that just randomly came, and she ended up being the interpreter. So then he invited her to do like missions or something like that there. Okay, so I went with her there, and we didn't know where to stay or where to live or anything like that. Daphne just never really knows where to live and stay. God just like shows. There was literally a woman from, is she from Oakville or Mississauga or
Oh,
something? Yes.
oh, guys,
What?
my husband and I got married, right?
What?
And then we got married, and I didn't
No,
know
you weren't.
how to stay in the Philippines,
No,
or
you
she
weren't
got
married
me
yet.
done this twice then, because I went to a church in Tagaytay on our honeymoon, and
Oh, this
it's
one's
like
different.
our first year being married together, my husband and I, and I'm a Canadian citizen, so I don't know how to become like how to stay in Philippines long enough. I got a dual citizenship, and then my husband and I said, let's go to this church on our honeymoon. So we sat there, ended up sitting beside this white blonde lady, and then she
Oh,
started saying to us at the end. She's like, "Yeah, I'm a missionary here. I've been here for like 20 years," and then I'm like, so how did you end up being able to stay here 20 years? She's like, yeah, I'm a Canadian. And like, she's like, she had this connection of a lawyer. She's like,
yeah.
email this lawyer, ask her how. So I emailed the lawyer, and just how like God connected everything. So the
Yeah.
lawyer took a look at my paperwork, and she's like, you're completely fine. You can live as long as you want in the Philippines and as long as you want in Canada. So when I went to my trip in Canada, I thought that they were gonna ask me a million questions, like at the border. I was holding my baby. I was done. She peed on me like 20 times. I'm done. So then, like, and then the guy at the immigration was like, "Welcome home. Come on in. Like, just go." I'm like,
Nothing. Yeah.
"Don't you want to ask me questions?" Like, they literally stopped like all of these Asian people on the side. They had
Mhm.
opened their like luggages. But when me and Rachel went to the border, they're just like the guy's like, "Welcome home." I was away for like 3 years or something.
This
Yeah.
was a different story though. This was before you were married. This was before you even met Raf, because you met Raf when we were doing the missions there in Davao. And so
Okay.
basically you were going to do, you already did the interpretation for the pastor,
Uh-huh.
and then we were going to Davao. And then basically you didn't know where to stay, but there was a girl from like Oakville, a little girl that you used to give piano
Oh.
lessons to. And
Oh.
basically, her mom owned a house in Davao. Like she built a house for her mom who lives in Davao. So she's like, "Oh, you can live with my mom. She lives in Davao, so it should be close by."
The house that they built
It's
is beautiful.
literally
Right
right
beside the
beside the
church.
church. Like a fence, the church, the fence, the grandma's house.
And the house is like
That
as big
cannot
as my
be
mom's
like,
house here.
so
Because it's
basically,
like
like
Canadian
all
money,
the houses
right?
are kind of like huts, like really poor, like they don't have
Wow.
electricity, stuff like that. But that house was built from like Canadian money, so it's like like blocks, like like a normal house, and shit's literally right beside the church. Like that
Yeah.
cannot be. plan. You know what I mean?
That's insane.
And like,
Oh.
and that's
And
where
the
she
grandma
met
that I lived with there, she would have dreams, like nightmares, and she couldn't sleep.
the
So I would
grandma.
pray beside her bed, and she gave her heart to Jesus. And her mom, her daughter, the one that let me live there, said that my mom is a Catholic to the bone. Like, if you share Jesus,
We're
like the
strong.
only reason I'm letting you live in my house is because I know you love Jesus, and I pray that my mom will see it. And you know what? Her prayers came true because the mom couldn't sleep at night, and I would pray to her that Jesus would give her like comfort and stuff, and she could sleep. And then she gave her heart to Jesus. She now started walking across the fence
The
and went
fence
to
to
church,
go to
and
that
she
church.
gave us a live chicken to cook. She's like,
That's
you gotta chop his head off, but
so
I'm like,
cool.
you
And that's
know,
where Daphne met her husband. Basically, Daphne was preaching. And then this guy comes walking in with like food. He hasn't been back into the community for like 3 months. So everyone was like, oh my gosh, you're back. He just like randomly came back. And they're like, sing for them, like for me and her, because apparently he's like really good. So he's just like, okay. The minute he strummed, I like bawled. I was just like,
I was looking at this, and I was like, okay.
like bawling. Like,
And I was like, okay,
oh
thank you,
God,
sir.
okay.
And then the
So
switch
then
over.
I left. I came back to Canada. She stayed there for more missions, and then she fell in love with him. And I just
But
remember when we were
yes,
praying for like our husbands and stuff. That was the only thing she ever prayed for. Was yes, he
go
had to
ahead.
have a missionary heart, but he had to
Like
worship.
love Jesus, yeah.
He had to worship. He had to love. This man just worships like 24/7. We're talking, he's worshiping in the background, like when when
Oh,
God
and
answers.
only he had the strength to. Oh no, he. I was like, hey, can you kill this chicken for me? Cause I got it from Lola. You know what? He was the only one who had to do it because I could not. But we literally sang "Reckless Love" over the chicken. We're like, he couldn't kill it. He's like, oh, the overwhelming effort.
They have like the same humor, same, even though they're from two different countries, cultures, everything. Their humor is the same. God is just so cool. So
And a
basically,
baby now. We have a baby. She's
yeah.
also Canadian. Okay. Okay.
So
Anyways,
the
thank you,
point of
Lord.
all of this is like just continue to trust in God. He literally knows every desire of our heart. He knows exactly what we need to be transformed and renewed and like given life, given hope, given joy, given purpose. He knows everything. So he just wants us to like listen and seek and obey. That's the thing. Like we can hear things, but like if you don't obey, then it doesn't go to the next step of his miracles like coming up, right? But it's like when we hear it, okay, we obey, and then it's like bam, like surprise, like that's what God does, And so he wants that for every single one of us, like everyone watching, like he's filled with miracles, filled with healing, filled with connections, filled with inspiration and miracles,
And can I
So,
add something, Janice?
yeah, go.
And like the encounter that Shireen and Janice had, that personal, like God, you think it, God does it for you. It's like it starts with you hearing from God, you learning about His, and having a relationship with Him, and then the next step, because it says in Matthew 20:28, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give His life a ransom for many. So He did it for us, and now His next step is also, once we encounter that, you ask God for that, for you to share it with the world, because we
Exactly.
cannot give what we do not have. If you don't experience that love of Jesus and have that in your heart, how can you give it to someone, right? So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
So good. So let's end in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
We have church soon. Okay. So, Shireen, can you pray for them?
Sure.
Miracles, miracles,
Absolutely.
miracles.
All right. Yeah, God, thank you so much for today, God, and
Mm.
just thank you so much for this discussion. And God, we just pray for everyone that's listening, God, and we just ask that you would continue to give us opportunities to hear your voice, God. And we're so thankful that you know each and every single one of us so personally, God. You know us better than we know ourselves, than the people that we're closest to knows us, God. You've just always been there since the very beginning of our life, even before, God. You just knew us. um, and so we're so thankful that you want the best for us and you have the best in store for us, and that you are just so excited to do this thing called life with us, God. And we're so excited for just the journey that you're going to be taking us on. And so would you just continue blessing us with your provisions. We thank you that you're our provider, God. And yeah, we just ask for us, for you to just continue speaking to us, right? And everyone that's listening, and continue giving people the opportunity to hear your voice and to step out in faith. Would you encourage and give people courage and boldness to take that step of obedience, God, to listen to your voice, God? And would you put this desire in them to want to do this for you, and even to just step out in faith, and also to get to know you better, God, to have a deeper and closer and intimate relationship with you, God,
Yeah.
because you just have, because that's just what you want with us, God, and there's so much that you want to show us. So just continue taking us on this exciting journey.
Yes.
Yeah. So we just lift this up in your mighty name, Jesus.
Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, guys. I had so much fun. I love our
Yeah.
Sunday chat. Literally changing lives. Mine.
Mine. And
Mine. Like,
yours, we
I'm
pray. Yeah.
reminded of his goodness. And I'm so happy to see him moving in each of your lives, like shared.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Menace,
And
in the
yours.
smallest ways and the biggest
Mhm.
ways. He's
Mhm.
Yeah.
just so cool. Okay.
Exactly. Okay. Bye bye. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.